Hey, what's really impressive is that Kelsey's going to discount because what I know about Kelsey is that she tends to not discount herself.
Yeah, that's why I've been holding on to it for a while.
I know.
We're gonna talk about price reductions today. No, we're not. All right, tell me something good. What's good today? Ooh, Jenny got to spend a weekend in Marco Island. That's fun. I'm glad you got to have fun on your 40th, Jenny.
Love me some Marco Island.
Else is good. My kids are in homecoming week this week. So to the person in the school district that decides on dress up days, we're not the same. We're not the same. They have salad dressing themed dress up days this year. So we had Greek Day. So Greek Day was blue and white. Today was ranch, so cowboy attire. Thousand Island is Hawaiian Day. And Italian, but I don't even
It's really
remember
weird.
what Italian is. That was a stretch, guys. That was a stretch. So I have to explain to my kids what Thousand Island dressing is tomorrow.
Orange.
Big Mac sauce, right? Kanan, Kanan mostly doesn't do dress up days. He's like, we're supposed to wear Hawaiian today. That's the one thing I'm not wearing. So, but it's homecoming week at DMAC. So, does anybody have kids going to homecoming? Is
Oh
that
boy. Saturday night.
Saturday night? Saturday night.
You should see the
How-
dresses that
I was
showed up
gonna
at my
say,
house.
yeah. So what is Annika allowed to wear to homecoming?
Okay, so
Do you do
she,
the fingertip rule where like when you put your arms down, your dress has to come past your fingers? Oh, no.
we do the.
Bend over and your butt can't hang out?
Stand up and your butt can't. hang out.
Yeah, but
I
bending
mean,
over is harder.
It's yeah, it's not,
It's not good.
it's not.
I'm sure it's gonna get better as my kids get older.
You're gonna be way impressed when Stella shows up.
I think
with her
they'll just wear
dress.
swimsuits at that point.
Yeah, probably.
We're in trouble. Tom.
No, it's just gonna be underwear, right? It's gonna be like underwear with something clear over the top of it.
They're gonna be wrapped in
That's
saran
what
wrap.
celebrities are wearing today, right? That's what's coming.
All right, well, now the world is ending. That's how I feel. Does anybody have anything else good?
I don't
that
know.
has
We made
nothing-
Adam chuckle though, so I'm gonna call that as a win today.
Adam has kids. He's gonna deal with this too. All right. Anybody else have something good? Nothing. Okay.
Started being a realtor a couple weeks ago.
Tom Dibble did start being a realtor a couple weeks ago, and if you go check out his office,
It's fantastic.
it is fantastic. His screens are one on top of each of another. I have mine next to each other, but I might, when Tom leaves, go sneak in his office and try that out.
He counteracts the whole looking down, like sort of that thing, because it forces you to look
I
up.
do like that it
I
forces
talked
you to
the
look
doctor
up.
About it. It's like, yeah, makes you look up, so it actually makes you stretch your
Interesting.
neck a little bit.
It'll make your posture better. Slumpy.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Look how tall I am. when I
Everyone
stand
just
up.
straightened up.
Everybody did it. Everybody, if you all had your cameras on, we would have seen you all go. Okay, it's the week you've all been waiting for. Today is market stats and celebration. So let's see how we wrapped up August. It is September 12th. That is wild. Okay, here's your September calendar. So there we go. We have this week, tomorrow is the Mira solar panel lunch and learn. PAR did one, I want to say maybe, I'm gonna say a month ago, that might not be exactly right. But Tracy and I have talked about solar panels a lot. If you do not know a lot about solar panels, I would highly recommend you attend this lunch and learn. And I think PAR recorded theirs. Solar panels can be purchased, they can be leased, they could have loans against them. So understanding how solar panels can affect a listing, appraisers are still figuring out how to value solar panels. So if you take a listing with solar panels, it may not be as simple as what you may think. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend going to this lunch and learn. And if you are a PAR agent and didn't attend their solar panel training, I believe that's recorded. I don't know if Tracy's on the call, if she knows if it was recorded. I know she was there. I would recommend educating yourself on solar panels for sure. And then tomorrow, 1 to 4 is Mira's Code of Ethics, and you'll see that is PAR's Code of Ethics, and you'll see that Mira is having a Code of Ethics training on Thursday. So this is a good reminder to everybody that you guys are in CE and license renewal. If you have a sales broker license, not a managing broker license, your license renews by April 30th of 2024. So we are in the season of continuing education. So if you have any questions about your continuing education and what's required, you can go to Illinois Realtors and it will tell you. Keep in mind, you have to have Code of Ethics every 3 years, and you have to have CE every 2 years. Code of Ethics is a national requirement. CE is a state requirement. And so take Code of Ethics every time you renew and you'll always be fine. But your Code of Ethics is a different requirement than the rest of your CE.
These two on the 13th and the 21st, that 3-hour class that satisfies the ethics requirement.
Mhm. And remember, if you take the class in person, you don't have to take a test. So if you don't like taking the exam, you can sit there for 3
Well, the
hours.
ethics one
and
is a
check
hard
that
one
out.
for me to pass. So
I would imagine that that would be true.
sometimes I feel like that dude on Billy Madison.
Well, if you all remember correctly, I'm skipping over that. If you all remember, we now have a sexual harassment CE 1-hour class that is required with every renewal. That can only be done online because when they did it in person, people got uncomfortable. And some people said things that made other people uncomfortable that fell into the
They
sexual
got harassed in the
harassment.
harassment class. Fantastic.
The state said, nope, we're just gonna do these online. So you do have to have 1 hour of sexual harassment, and that can only be done online. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on that. You'll hear Tracy and I say this over and over and over. But please make sure that you have CE on your radar and don't be like me and wait until April when you're also doing your taxes that month to do all of your CE, because CE and taxes in 1 month makes for a horrible April. Okay, next week, the Illinois Realtors Fall Business Meetings are in Oak Brook. I don't know if any of you attend those, but they were on both associations, so I thought it was worth throwing on the calendar. And then on the 28th is the PAR installation of officers. So I think I saw Max on this call. Max is being installed onto the board of directors for PAR. So we would love it if you guys could attend that and support our agents that are involved in the association. It takes a lot of time and we appreciate all that they give. So that is at 5 o'clock on the 28th. And I think tickets are out right now, I saw. Tracy, are you on the call? Is there anything I forgot that we talked about yesterday? Okay, I don't see her. Okay. And then we just have team meetings and Capra calls. Other than that, normal month. I forgot to put this on a slide. So I'll get an email out today. But if you like to make notes on your calendar, we talked last week about business planning clinic. Business planning clinic is going to be October 17th. It will be from 9 to 4 here in this room. BJ will be facilitating. So we will do some prep work the couple of weeks before that. But reminder, business planning clinic will be October 17th.
Yeah, something else I would add to your calendar that'll show up in October pretty quick. October 5th and 6th.
Yeah.
In Chicago will be what do they call it? It's a KW Tech training. Basically, it's an
Tech
in-depth.
Roadshow.
It's the Tech Roadshow. That's exactly what it is. And what they will do, they'll come through and they'll give you an in-depth look at Command, going through all things database and the marketing pieces and all that. But it's, again, 2-day class. It is free.
Yeah.
With the exception of you got to travel there and spend the night.
Right.
But it'll be really, really good is my guess. Last time it came, Jason Abrams presented. He did an excellent job.
This is not Cody Gibson.
Oh, it is Cody Gibson.
Cody Gibson? Yeah. Cody Gibson's presenting this. So I know a couple of you have been getting into Command and have had a few questions that we haven't been able to answer, or glitches, or you need workarounds for something. This is a great class to go to because it is 2 days of command. So, and like BJ said, it's free. I mean, you got to pay to be there, like just the hotel and food, but, all right, I'll get an email out. I'll get both of those October things out in an email after this. Okay. In the month of August, we added 4 agents. Ariel, Ben, TJ, and Greg all joined us in the month of August. TJ is on Tania's team, Greg is on the Feast team, and Ben and Ariel are individual agents. So welcome to them. Yay.
Thank you.
There's TJ. Anniversaries. We have lots of anniversaries this month. Jesse and Shelly have both been with us for 7 years. Lori has been with us for 6. Brooke Feast for 3. Angela, Stacy, Jackson, Taylor, and Scott have all been with us for 2 years. So happy anniversary. That was a lot this month,
And time goes fast.
right?
Yeah.
All right, Revolution Cares. We kind of go through this. Hey, we just saw you in your car. We kind of go through this every month, but we've had new people on, so I want to make sure everybody understands what Revolution Cares is. Revolution Cares is an account that we keep here in the Market Center that agents donate to out of their closing checks that we hold on to for when needs arise that cause a financial hardship with our agents or someone very close to them. So right now the balance in that account is $8,516.76. Our goal is to keep that account between 10 and 15,000 so that if a substantial need arises, we can help with that.
Well, and the truth is, when the needs arise, it's always substantial, right?
It is.
And 10 to 15,000 generally is the, hey, here's, it's still not enough, and yet we feel like it's a generous enough amount that we can do something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is important to kind of hold this up as we can.
Yep, and these requests come in to BJ or Adam or myself, and then the ALC votes on these. So our Associate Leadership Council is the determining factor of whether any funds get distributed from this account. It's not just BJ and Adam and I deciding. So since the agents give this money, the agents decide when it's distributed. We've been keeping track of who gives to this. If you don't give and would like to start, you can email Adam and just say, take 5, 10, 20, whatever you'd like dollars out of each closing. And Adam will just put that on his spreadsheet and he'll take that from every closing. There's not a way that you can do it in the commissions that you submit in command. If you give to KW Cares through there, it goes to KWRI's International Fund, which helps with larger natural disasters and medical things like that. So just know that there's the difference in those two. We had 165 units closed in the month of August. 43 of those had donations on them with $660 donated. So thank you to all the people on this list that made donations last month. You want to do profit share?
I do want to do profit share. As you know, as a Keller Williams owner, we agree to give up to 47.5% of the profits back every month. Well, last month was a good month. We get back $8,953 in profit share. So that money goes to the agents that help us grow the company. Meaning, right now, roughly speaking, about 33% of our agents participate in profit share. 33%. It can be 100%, right? It's just a matter of who is able and chooses to help grow the company. So if you want to know more about how to get into that, come talk to me. I would love to share with you kind of my strategies that I've used for profit share. But year to date, we're about 57,000. Again, our goal for the year is around $150,000. So we're short of where our goal, where we're hoping our goal will be. And we're starting to pick up pace here towards the end of the year. So September looks like it's going to be another good month. So we'll see if we can hold this momentum.
Oh no, Scott's, I don't know why only one picture doesn't well. Anyway, we have 5 August cappers. Liz capped for the first time in August, and she's in the room, so you can say her name extra loud. Congratulations. It's always a fun milestone the first time, and now it's just a race. Can you do it faster next year and faster next year? Shane Grant capped, Chrissy, Jackson Jewett, and Scott Breland. So congratulations to all of our August cappers.
Can we talk about races for a minute?
Races?
Yeah, well, you were talking about racing to cap.
Okay.
Can we talk about races?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just curious, who's capped the fastest this year?
I think you're gonna see this as we go through our top producer slides. I think
Oh, well, we can
maybe, oh, you've already gone there. Matt. I think maybe Nathan and Amy hold the record since I've been here. They just capped in 38 days. So that's probably the fastest I've seen
30,
since I've been here.
38 days,
So
right?
shout out to Nathan and Amy. Yeah, they had a killer August.
Thank you. Awesome.
Adam was very disappointed. He's not going to get any money from you for 11 whole months.
Yeah, so if
but-
Adam.
We're related.
But congratulations. That is
It
quite
is
a feat.
impressive.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Congrats to everybody else too.
All right. Well, since you jumped ahead, you can
So, yeah, some big months. So obviously you start to look at our profit share growing. We also know that means we've had some agents that had some really big months in August. So Couillard Group shows up first at $3 million, right? A big month for the Couillard Group. That would be $36 million for the year. Which means that may not be their biggest month, but anyway.
I don't know.
Team Brown shows up at $2 million. We just talked about their 38 days. Congratulations. That was a big contribution to that. Jewett show up at 1.9, just shy of that 2 million mark. Dawn Peters shows up at 1.6.
She got all that work done, so now she can go to Paris for her birthday, and she doesn't have to think about work for a little while.
I love
You gotta get
that.
those closings done. so
And
you
then,
can
you know what she'll do? She'll
for
come
her.
back and she'll be like, all right, I gotta get another 1.9 in because I got a bunch of bills to pay. At least that's what I would do, Dawn. Feast Homes at 1.45. Scott Marketing Team at 1.49. Schneider Home Group at 1.36. Melissa Stevenson at 1.179. Oh, sorry. Ricky Mathis, Mathis Home Strategy shows up at 1.3 almost. I'm just rounding these up. Chrissy at 1.1 and Lisa Crocker right at $1 million. Nice work, guys. It's a good month.
It is a good month. All right, let's look at our unit producers. So these are all of our agents and teams that closed 5+ units last month. So Feast Homes and Scott Marketing Team both closed 10. The Couillard Group closed 9. Jewett Home Selling Team, Mathis Home Strategies, and the Schneider Group all closed 8. Dawn Peters, Team Brown, and Trisha Yorty all closed 7. Melissa Stevenson's team 6, and Lisa Crocker 5. Congratulations, our top unit producers.
Love it.
All right, let's see who's going to be on our leaderboards next month. These are the agents that took the most listings in August. So I threw on here this month just to give some perspective. Our goal is 67 listings every month. We took 63 last month. We don't seasonalize that goal. So typically August is a little bit slower of a listing month because everybody's getting back to school. So it's usually a good closing month, not always a good listing month. But our goal is 67 and we took 63. So I'm super happy with that. I think that's a great month and a great indication that we're going to have a good September. So Jewett Home Selling Team took 6 listings. Tucker Home Marketing took 5. The Couillard Group and Team Brown took 4. Cornejo and Kerfoot, Minu, the Schneider Home Group, Melissa Stevenson's team, and GT Homes all took 3. So congratulations to our listing leaders. If you feel like you took more listings and are not on this board, MRED changed the way I run reports. So if you're a Bloomington agent, the way they changed the private listing network is the way I run our listing report is a little bit harder. So if you feel like you had a killer month and you want to make sure that you make the board, send it to me. It's really challenging for me to run listings from the private listing network and see when it goes active so I don't double count it. So just a heads up, if you feel like you should have been on this board and aren't, please don't throw darts at my picture on the wall. Just send me an email and I'll make sure that I get it corrected.
I'll take the darts out.
Okay. We're gonna change this up for today, and I want to go through some market stats kind of live. I was giving BJ a hard time before this call because I like to go through InfoSparks. You guys have seen this a few times, and I love going through InfoSparks. I usually screenshot what I like, and I share that with you guys. And BJ always goes, "I wonder what this, I wonder what that." And so we're gonna do this live so that he can ask all of his questions and we can click through these.
Here's the way that I view statistics, right? And the reason that I do that is probably just the way that my brain is wired. I think statistics are built so that we can ask better questions. And so anytime I see something, so we're looking at this one of number of homes for sale, that generally creates 4 or 5 questions for me. Is it, why are they for sale? What happened to the old, I don't know what the questions will be, but they'll show up, and I'll share those with you as they come up today. But that's the benefit, is that we're really seeking deeper answers. We're not just seeking the surface level numbers so that we can share it with the world. We want to know what it means so that we can do something with it.
One of the reasons I decided to do this instead of going through the lore today is we've gone through the lore for the past 2 months and it hasn't changed a whole lot. I think seeing these trends over the last 3 years gives us a little bit better prediction of what might be coming. When we look at statistics, one of the things I really love about InfoSparks is we can look at the full picture of what's going on in the market in about 10 minutes. So we're going to go through Mira first, and then we're going to go through PAR. I do this on a 3-year trend with monthly data points. So this is not what, if you want to pull up your own reports and look at certain areas, make sure you do monthly data points, because if you do like a rolling 12 months, look how much it really changes. I like to see what's going on monthly because I'm really chasing what's a trend that's been going on for the last 3 months. If we want to know if the market's starting to change, we want to look for some consistent increases or decreases in the last 3 months. Once something has been happening for 90 days, we start to say, okay, the market might be shifting in this area.
Yep.
So that's really what I'm chasing. And that's why I always put it on monthly data points.
And I think a lot of this will start to help you address why you feel the way that you feel, right? It certainly does for me.
Yeah. Okay, let's go through. I want to start with what we have. These homes for sale, these are the total number of homes on the market at the end of August in McLean County. So there were 214 homes for sale, meaning inactive status, on August 31st. You can see that that's creeped up just a tad bit. But from February, we've gone from 148 to 214.
So we're in this market of increasing inventory,
Mhm.
right? There are more choices today for your buyers than there were a year ago. I don't know if you feel that, but it
Hard
shows
to
it.
feel the difference between 148 and 214 when
Check-
we're used to.
Check this out, right? A year ago, there were 174 listings. Today, there are 214. Okay, so that's a significant difference. You're only talking about 75 houses or something, but that's a significant difference. I don't know for sure. When we go back to March of 2020, there were 500. So
The only reason I want to pull that data point is we talked last week about how, the last 2 weeks, we talked about how there's 80% of agents have not been in any different market than this, we're going to call it a COVID market. And so March of 2020 was the onset. And so if you look at 484 listings and you were not an agent in March of 2020, the market was drastically different in the 12 months prior to that. Imagine 484 listings versus we're used to being under half of that. So as we see that start to climb, you might feel it already. You're going to start to feel that shift into a buyer's market. This trend here, they're projecting is going to continue increasing. So we're going to watch this line here.
yeah, so what does that mean to your buyer or your seller? it certainly means to your seller, you need to start watching your pricing a little bit closer. You can't be probably as aggressive, and this stuff will keep showing up.
So let's go from that. Let's talk about what that looks like for your new listings coming on the market. Here's, you can see this low point is December. So you look back every December, January, February, we kind of hit the low point of new listings. And then they climb pretty significantly. They usually they peak here in June and just kind of continually fall. We peaked here in April and we've kind of been chasing that since.
Now, there's a handful of reasons for this, right? So if you start to look at why are we peaking shorter than we did a year ago, or even the last 3 years, you can see the seasonality in these charts. Think about interest
I was
rates.
gonna say, what happened in April?
Yeah,
In
so
April is when we really started to see interest.
you're
rates.
hearing nationally this conversation about people not wanting to sell their houses. Here's some evidence for that.
Yeah. And then you can see people kind of went, okay, interest rates suck. We're gonna go ahead and sell. Life still happens, right? So we saw it come up a little bit there in July and we dropped back down in August.
Now, remember, right, if you go back a chart to this homes for sale, we're at 214 homes for sale, which is higher than it was a month ago. And yet we've taken fewer listings than we took a month ago, which tells us you're seeing some houses sit on the market longer.
Right.
This is a look at buyer demand, right? So buyer demand is starting to slow down based on that. Now, we're looking at, this is a 30 and 60-day period of time. This is not a trend necessarily. This is just what's happened in the last 30 days. So that's something we want to keep our eye on.
So this is our market time. So the next thing we look at, I'm kind of taking you through how he and I go through stats. I mean, maybe if you were driving, you'd go through it a little bit differently, but,
Shouldn't let me drive for a reason.
no, it'd be like a partner scale.
Why are you going that way?
Yeah, you're doing it wrong. But after we look at how many homes are for sale and then we get into, okay, what's coming on the market? How many new listings are coming? And we say, okay, we aren't seeing as many new listings seasonally as we should. Then the next question we ask ourselves is, okay, if we're not seeing as many new listings, does that mean that they're selling faster? Or are they sitting on the market longer? Because that's going to give us an idea of what the demand looks like in the market. So here, we looked at median market time. I look at median because your average, especially in McLean County, your average is going to be really skewed by new construction. There's a lot of new construction in the market compared to what we've seen the last few years. And days on market for new construction is typically higher just because of that higher price per square foot. So I take the median because I feel like that's a little bit more accurate. We're still low. We're still at 5 days on the market. Keep in mind, your days on market is off of closed sales. It's not pendings. So it was 5 days on market for the closings we had in August, which means it went pending
45 days ago.
45 days ago. So this is a number we're going to watch as we see that we're taking less new listings. We're going to see if our market time starts to increase to show the demand is going away, or if that demand is still there, because then your conversation to your seller is things are still moving really fast. Right now, I'd say to your sellers, things are still moving really fast. Maybe not 12 offers, but still, there's still a lot of demand in the market. Until we see this number really start climbing, I don't think there's a different story to tell your seller.
I agree. And I think there is a story to tell your seller here if you're on the market for more than 5 days.
Mhm.
If you have a listing that's been on the market for 10 days and it's not pending, something's wrong.
Yep.
I'm not telling you it's price.
Mhm.
But it's probably price.
Yeah, I've been here in the same market, but softer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same
so
market.
truly, again, and I've done this on my own stuff, right? So we've been so aggressive with pricing and I want to continue to be aggressive. Sometimes I have to be aggressive just to win the listing.
Mhm.
And after 10 days, definitely after 30 days, if you're not sold, if you don't have a pending sign in the yard, something is wrong. You need to have a conversation.
The last thing I look at in this section is month supply. So we've been at record low inventory levels for the past almost 2 years. February of 2022 was our low at about 2 weeks of inventory. We have slowly been climbing. We're up to 1.3 months, which you're about 6 weeks of inventory, not quite 5 to 6 weeks. we're still really, really low. Remember, 6 months of inventory is considered a balanced market. Over 6 months is a buyer's market, under 6 months is a seller's market. I would guess that when we get to 3 to 4 months of inventory, we're gonna feel like a buyer's market.
Oh, 100%. And it's not because it necessarily is, it's just so wildly different than what we've been used to. Yeah, as this number increases, you're gonna see fewer and fewer multiple offers. All of those things are gonna start to change. The quality of your listings matters more. Meaning, remember when we used to go through conditioning and staging? Adrian and Casey do such a great job with staging. You want to know who's going to really survive in that market as it shifts? Are people like that have this staging thing all figured out, and they'll thrive in that slower market.
So far, I would say that price and condition have been met because median showings per contract is down to 10. So this is interesting just to see how many showings are typically happening. This is another great thing to tell your seller. If we get 10 showings right away and we don't have an offer, we've got a problem.
Yep.
So look how high this was. This was 21 showings in 2022. Remember that flood of like, you got 10 minutes to show a house and
Yep.
in and out, and you're writing a contract on the hood of your car or going to a coffee shop right then, or you're writing it before the showing. So all you got to do is plug in the necessary information. That has softened a little bit. We're down to about 10 showings to contract. So that could indicate less demand in the market. It could indicate that, price and condition are still being met. So, we don't have a lot sitting, but that's an interesting one to watch. Sale price.
You ever pitch that as whichever comes first to your seller, if you get 10 days or we get 10 showings? Just to
For sure.
shave
And
off
so
a
this is
week.
what, so everybody on Zoom. can hear.
Is this the microphone?
Yep.
Sure is.
Oh, I
Welcome
thought
to
it was
team
like a
meeting, Tom.
talking stick kind of thing. I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I was just curious if you could pitch that to your sellers, like whichever comes first, we get 10 showings versus a week to 10 days, just to shave off. the
We
week.
have that as part of our listing presentation where it's our marketing is designed to get you 10 showings as fast as possible. If I don't have an offer within those 10 showings, we've got a problem.
Yeah, so
But
you
yeah, I
have
think
to
it's-
burn up a week
yeah.
on market.
Mhm. Yeah,
For
if you've
sure.
had 10 showings in 48 hours and no offers.
And again, remember, your
same.
average days on market right now is 10, or the median days on market is 10. So I'm using today, my conversation is 10 showings in 10 days. If we don't have an offer, we got a problem, and I'm gonna be talking to you about
Yeah, if you get 10 in a day, day two, you can do a price
Yeah.
it.
reduction.
100%.
Yeah.
Right, so again, I think having those conversations at the listing contract are hugely beneficial 10 days in when I'm calling and going, hey, remember when we talked about this? Because then I'm not necessarily the bad guy for pricing it too high, right? We've all had that conversation where they're like, well, I'm priced it where you told me to price it. Well, the market's changed.
I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but I do think this is interesting. This is just your average contract to close days in McLean County. I think this is interesting because Peoria tends to be a 30-day market and Bloomington historically is 45. We have gone down a little bit in the average contract to close days. It is officially under 40. So August was 39 days. So if you are that agent that tends to write them right now, that's still largely seller driven if the seller wants a certain closing date. But I do think lenders and everybody has caught up to this crazy market. For a while, they're still laying off underwriters. And so a question of whether banks are going to be able to keep up. But as I think it's fair if you in Bloomington, if you've got somebody that wants to close in 30 days, I feel like sometimes we get a mental block about that, like it needs to be 45. But I think that can go a little faster. I don't want to focus on that too much. Sale price, median sale price. Again, I run the median for the same reason. It takes those outliers out. So median sale price dropped from 251 to 215. 251 was a high. I went and dug into this a little bit before because I knew BJ would ask. This is just a reflection of what came on the market. There were lower priced homes that sold that it was not that price reductions were happening or our sale price as a percent of list price was widening. It was just that lower priced homes came on the market last month, and that's what sold. That's just what our available inventory was.
Here's one gauge on that. I was just clicking over to the average, right? So what we're looking at right here is the median, which is the middle number. Half of them are higher and half of them are lower. The average blends them all together. And you see that the average is $40,000 or something higher than what the median is. Part of what that tells us is that there are still some higher priced listings selling. One of the things that I'm watching is, and considering as this goes down, is how many fewer luxury homes are we selling? Because the luxury side of our market has definitely slowed down. And so I think you're going to start to see this average price kind of move around a little bit and probably move down.
Agreed. All right, let's shift gears and let's see what's going on in Peoria. So let's start, let's start with homes for sale. Homes for sale in, oh, my entire MLS didn't say, hang on one second. Okay. Homes for sale. So this is same story. This is the last 3 years, monthly data points, and this is for PAR. So I'm able to run in InfoSparks and Peoria. I'm able to just grab the Peoria Association. I'm not able to do that in MRED. I have to grab counties just because MRED's bigger. But here we have 567 homes were on the market at the end of August. That is almost the low that we've seen. 526 was the low. Oh, 520 was the low. So 567 is substantially lower. You go back up to that March 2020 data point that we looked at in Bloomington, 2,100. I mean, that is why, as we've gone through the lore in Peoria for the last couple of months, you've seen such a drastic difference between Bloomington and Peoria and how many contracts are being written in Peoria. Peoria is just experiencing a huge inventory shortage.
Yeah.
So as we're going to inventory, I'm going to go to months supply just because that's kind of where this took us. You can see same 1.2 months of inventory. That is comparable to what we saw in Bloomington, but it's not as comparable to what they have been seeing. So in Peoria, you
still see some seasonality in these, which I'm picking up in these waves.
Right.
It is interesting, and I don't know if this will hold true for the winter or not, but our dip this year seems to be flattening out, meaning our inventory, we're not watching our inventory go as high, which is counterintuitive to me. It feels like our inventory should be going up, particularly with interest rates going up, but it's not. That may be indicative of people not wanting to sell. But we're also seeing that buyer demand waver a little bit. So I'm anxious to see how that seasonality shows up this winter.
Yeah, we're not seeing a 90-day trend in Peoria of months supply like we are in Bloomington. And keep in mind, they're still talking that the Fed's going to raise rates 2 more times before the spring market. So that's the last I heard, unless you've heard any different.
I've heard that there is a little bit of wavering. So there's a couple of the Fed officials that are starting to talk otherwise, but they're gonna hold the line. They're gonna hold the line as long as they can, and they need to, for what it's worth.
Yeah,
I don't want them to.
right. Hurts us a little bit. New listings. So new listings has been declining since May. So May was 680. June was 649, down to 592 and 570 in August. So we do see new listings dropping off. Usually we see it slow down and then pick back up. So we'll see if we see that little fall surge that we're used to. But new listings have been trailing off, which is going to make it harder for that already record low inventory. So this would tell us right now, this is still a good time to sell because inventory is so low. We don't see, let me grab, show days on market. Days on market is not increasing at all. So if we saw days on market increasing while we saw our inventory levels staying low, we would say, okay, the demand might not be there. Your story to your sellers is we're on the market 5 days, we should be sold.
think about this in terms of pricing.
5 days or 8 showings.
Yeah, so in terms of pricing, right? So we're watching our inventory go down. We know that our buyer demand is still high. That's indicative of, or that shows up in this days on market. But that gives our pricing some stickiness too. So in this, we're looking at a lot of people talking about this crash in real estate values and all that stuff. There is zero evidence for that, right? So based on what's here, we're watching the inventory go down, buyer demand stay high, all those days on market stay there, which means that prices are going to really, really be stable. I'm not necessarily seeing anything that says they're going to increase. I think 4 to 5% is the range that I've heard for this year in terms of price increases. And that's probably about right.
Agreed. Shows to pending, before we go to close price, I just want to hit shows to pending is 8. So as we talked about in Bloomington stats, you get 5 days on market and 8 showings. If you're not pending by then, keep in mind,
Yeah.
Peoria is different than Bloomington in that there are a lot more pockets of variation in Peoria. So if you're going into a listing appointment in Morton, Dunlap versus Peoria, you need to know, you can run these based all the way down to city, zip code, subdivision, school district. So know your area, but in general, 8 showings in 5 days, we should be pending.
Yeah, if you've got a property that had more than 8 showings on it,
Mhm.
yep, go take a look.
So like BJ started to talk about, our sale price, our median sale price has gone from 164 in June down to 148. We don't quite see that, being a trend yet, but Peoria is a little bit harder for me to run just because geographically Peoria is a lot larger. But I'm with BJ. I don't think this is a reflection of home values going down. I think this is a reflection of what inventory has been available to our buyers. So there's nothing that tells us that home values are going to go down. My personal opinion, I think home values in Peoria are probably more stable than Bloomington because they didn't get the 20% increase that Bloomington got over the last two and a half years. So you can see that the median sale price increased a little bit more steady in Peoria than the huge jump that we saw in Bloomington. So no indication that home values are going to go down. Anything I missed in here? I don't think so. Okay, any thoughts or questions about the market? I'm interested in what you guys are hearing, if you agree or disagree, how your buyers and sellers are feeling. Anything that you guys have to share? Nobody has any thoughts.
Well, I will say the market is really tough to find anything about 150 or under. And especially if you have someone with an FHA loan, it is just really, really difficult right now.
Well, it's fourth quarter. It's time to play ball. Let's go, Keller.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I just
He's 100%.
Yeah, right? He wants everybody.
Get there. We'll get there. Let's keep each other in line.
That is very true. Until there's
yeah, I just
more inventory, it's gonna be hard for those FHA, VA buyers. Any other thoughts?
Jackie, you just sent me that picture. You want to talk to it? She's muted.
She says no.
It basically, she just sent me this graph about household wealth, right? And what's exactly true is that over the last 4 or 5 years, homeowners have seen more wealth generation out of their personal residence than I'm going to say ever, but I don't know if that's exactly true. But over the next 5 years, she just showed me a graph that predicts the same, right? About $71,000 for the average homeowner over the next 5 years. And that's probably not wrong. So if you do have a buyer out there, is now a good time to buy? Without a doubt. Oh, perfect.
There you go. Look how fast this is. Okay, this is what she sent.
What would your reply be to the vast majority of buyers, like, I'm gonna wait till things aren't crazy anymore. 'Cause I think that's the number one thing we're all hearing. It's like, I'm gonna wait till home prices go down. I mean, I've been geeking out on YouTube videos and stuff like that, that it's, prices are not gonna drop. This is kind of the new normal. So I mean, is that typically what your reply would be? This is our new normal. I mean, it's only gonna get worse soon right now, or.
I have a tenant that in 2019 came to me as a State Farm guy. Came to me and he said, hey, we're gonna sell our house, and they sold their big house and they're renting from me. They've rented from me for 5 years. You know how much money I've made off of that tenant? Not in terms of rent, but in terms of appreciation of the home that they don't own, that I own for them. Right. So the truth is that wealth creation, just as Jackie said, is going to happen over the next 5 years. When inflation is high, home prices generally keep pace. Right. Real estate is generally a safe haven for inflation. And that's because the cost of real estate will increase along with inflation. And that's holding true so far. So what's going to happen is your property value is not going down over the next 5 years. You're going to miss out on that appreciation. As long as you're okay with that. In fact, why don't you rent from me? Right. I mean, I'd be happy to go buy something and rent it to you today. Something else I've got an eye on, and I think everything, when I look at Central and our markets, I think is really, really stable, but looking at the employment base. So one of the factors over the next 2, 3, or 4, or 5 years is how much will our employment base grow? When you look at cities like Austin, Texas, and you hear about how crazy it is and everything's still crazy and they haven't felt it slow down, you also have to look at the employment base and go, here's why, right? It's because that employment base is continually growing. Bloomington specifically has enjoyed a growing employment base over the last 4 or 5 years, right? We had a lot of announcements of that stuff coming up. I expect that to taper off. That doesn't mean our employment base is going to shrink. It just means it's not necessarily going to grow at the rate that it did. Peoria, the same. Statistically, their employment base has shrunk, right? But they've been stable over the last several years. So that's one factor, meaning that our growth rate will probably slow. Second of that is the stability of the employment base. So obviously you look at State Farm, you look at Caterpillar, you look at hospitals, any of those companies that you go, how stable is that? Incredibly stable. I have very, very little concern that people are going to lose their job, that they're going to take pay cuts, that they're maybe not going to make as much money. So from that end, I read stability. My goal or my thinking over the next 24 months is just a very kind of stable-ish market.
And there's a difference now from all the stimulus money that was out allowed people to make a little bit more emotional decisions about their jobs. And so if they didn't necessarily want to work, they maybe didn't have to, where that's all gone. And now it's a lot harder for people to change jobs if they don't have another one. Spending is still fairly high. And so people need that income to keep up. So I don't think we're going to see the drop in employment base we saw from just people deciding to get out of the workforce. If anything, we're going to see people coming back in.
Yeah.
Because that spending has still stayed high and we don't have any of that stimulus money out there. So that's a good thing for real estate.
I think seems like nobody wanted to work over the last year.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, now they want to work, but they won't have to work.
Yep.
Any thoughts, comments, questions? Got it all figured out?
All right, sum it up in 2 sentences. If you're talking to somebody at the grocery store tonight and they say, how's the market? I know what you're going to say, but after that.
Why do you ask?
Okay, after that, sum it up.
I mean, I'm trying not to sound like a cliche real estate agent, but there is not a better time to buy or sell real estate. It's not going to be better in a year. Your price isn't going to be lower if you're a buyer, and your price is not going to really be higher if you're a seller.
The market's going to change in market time.
Yeah.
Not in pricing.
Yep.
feel like every investor ever says, I wish I would have bought X years ago.
Yeah.
I think it's probably, yeah, it's probably always gonna be.
The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, right?
Mhm. All right,
Wants and needs.
wants and needs.
I have a
Okay.
couple. So I have a commercial listing. Christina Padalero and I are co-listing it, but we are allowing one-time shows now. It is a mini storage facility with outdoor parking storage also in East Peoria. 1.5 million. If you want more details, let me know. And then I have a new house coming on the market in the Uplands this week. So it's near Bradley, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, primary does have an ensuite, 3-car garage, listing for $249,900. Those sellers are also agreeable to one-time shows. It'll go active on Friday. So let me know if you have anyone.
Thank you. Who else?
I've got a couple coming on the market this week. They're both in the PLN. 1322 West Mulberry, 2 bedrooms. It's a ranch, 2 bedrooms, right at 89,000, 1 bath, large backyard, detached garage, partially fenced in backyard. And then 117 Dow Drive, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, really 2.5 because the shower drain is collapsed in the basement bath. Will be coming. They're both coming on the market on Thursday. Dow Drive will have a broker open at 11 on Thursday. Both open houses on Saturday.
You have a price on Dowd?
Oh, I'm sorry. 224.5.
Thank you. Who else?
This is Louis V. I've got, I just wanted to remind everybody, I got 721 Claridge Green. That's one of those ones I've had that's struggling a bit. My folks did put up there, if you haven't seen the email, $2,500 buyer agent bonus as long as we get under contract by the 17th of this month. We did extend that, and obviously you needed to close. But it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath out in Ironwood, attached. So let me know.
Thank you. Last call. All right, that's all we got then. Have a great week, guys. Thank you.